The annual dinner party that was only a week away, and that Eadie wasn't even invited to, now that Trevor had left her for his secretary. She could hear the hostess's footsteps, and a minute later her tired voice, "Sorry, there's no Eadie Boone here." "Thanks," Eadie said, and hung up. She had her work cut out for her, but she wasn't discouraged. She hadn't dragged herself up out of a life of poverty and adverse destiny by thinking like a defeatist. She hadn't overcome a tragic childhood and become an artist by thinking it couldn't be done. To admit she might have made a mistake about Trevor Boone would have been like admitting the whole code by which she had lived her life up to now was wrong, and this was something Eadie Boone just wasn't willing to do. She waited 10 minutes and then called the restaurant again. She imagined the two of them crouched guiltily over their entrees, afraid to look around. "Not laughing now," she thought, closing up her phone. She considered going inside and causing a scene, but decided against it. She was tired. She decided to go home and take a hot bath instead. Following a wayward husband was hard work. Trying to convince that same husband that what he needed was not a change of wives, but a change of careers, was even more exhausting. Trevor would never be happy until he quit practicing law and moved home to write the great American novel he had always promised himself he would write. Eadie knew this, even if Trevor didn't. Nita Broadwell sat in the carpool line reading Captive Bride of the Choctaw. The love scenes were graphic and made her feel restless and slightly queasy. She had started out reading Harlequin romances but had quickly progressed to the harder stuff, and now she read about masters and slave girls, Indian braves and captive white women. No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't stop. She had seen women like herself on afternoon talk shows, sad women who were addicted to alcohol or food or the home shopping network. She wasn't sure what a woman addicted to soft-porn romance novels would be called, but she was pretty sure there was a name for it. She was pretty sure Oprah or Dr. Phil would know what it was called. Nita slid the novel down behind her steering wheel so Susan Deakins couldn't look in her rearview mirror and see what she was reading. Nita was certain there must be other women in town hopped up on soft-porn romance novels. She just didn't know who they were. Being addicted to soft-porn romance novels in Ithaca, Georgia was like filling a prescription for head lice or genital herpes. It just wasn't the kind of thing you went around bragging about. Not if you were a good Southern girl, anyway, from a good Southern family. Nita read for a while and then closed her eyes and leaned back against the headrest of her seat. Her heart pounded like a piston. There was a sound in her ears like water running in a sink. Lone Wolf, a full-blooded Choctaw Indian chief, had his captive white slave, a red-haired beauty named Lydia, staked out in the middle of his teepee. Nita imagined herself as Lydia. She imagined Lone Wolf's hard, muscled chest. He reminded her of Jimmy Lee Moats, the 26-year-old carpenter she had hired to fix her pool house. Jimmy Lee had dark hair and dark eyes. He looked like he could be part Choctaw. Behind her, a horn honked, and Nita opened her eyes and sat up suddenly and slid the novel into her purse. She put the car into drive and followed the slow-moving traffic as it inched toward the school portico, trying to clear the gyrating images of Lone Wolf and Lydia that drifted through her mind like an X-rated hologram. She had started reading soft-porn romance novels with the idea of trying to put the zip back into her 16-year marriage to Charles Broadwell, but so far the only person Nita had been able to fantasize about was Jimmy Lee Moats. Sunlight glinted off the Gothic towers and red-bricked facade of the tall buildings circling the courtyard. A throng of bored children stood around the school fountain, an exact replica of the Little Mermaid of Copenhagen, lethargically tossing quarters into the foaming water and waiting for their mothers to come. Nita searched the crowd anxiously for her children, but could not see them. Far off in the distance, past the polo field and the lacrosse practice field, the sharp-edged shape of a skull glided on the river, oars moving rhythmically. Nita's children, Logan and Whitney, attended Barron Hall, the old and prestigious prep school for which Ithaca was famous, and which Nita's husband and his father before him had attended. Nita, born Juanita Sue James, had grown up in Ithaca too, but she had attended public school. Charles Broadwell was 4 years older than she, and she'd known who he was, of course, but he had existed in a world so alien to her own that she'd never paid much attention to him. The Broadwells lived in a big columned house out by the river that